The Royal Mile might seem a little unremarkable and touristy if you're walking it yourself with no additional information, but once you learn a little bit more, it's historic and impressive.
We are taking you down the Royal Mile to show you some secret spots on it, or more like great history is what I like to say. Not too secret, but some great history. Hi, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Erica.
We're your guides abroad. I must say, we're no experts. Hire a local guide to take you on a walking tour of Edinburgh, especially the Royal Mile. You won't regret it. But if you can't do that, this is a good starting point. Maybe just like whet your palate and all the cool stuff around here. Anyways, let's jump in. We're going to start right at the top. This is the Royal Mile. It starts at Edinburgh Castle and goes down to Holyrood. It is actually 1 Scottish mile, which is an absolute unit. And that's about 1.8 kilometers or 1.2 miles long. If you did this walking tour without stopping, it would take 24 minutes. So it's a good reflection of how quick it is. But you're starting off at Edinburgh Castle. Okay, so that right there is Castle Rock, Edinburgh Castle sitting on top of it, right? But it is a volcanic plug. And get this, a glacier came through, it hit the volcanic plug, and it caused the glacier to split, right? And so as the glacier moved, it couldn't take the hill that was behind the rock. So that is the ridge that forms the Royal Mile. And that's why the closes or alleyways run off that ridge on a really steep perpendicular angle to Castle Rock. But I just like knowing that because it helps with the geology, and it's kind of cool. Like that is the crag, and then the ridge coming off is where Edinburgh was, ancient Edinburgh sat. So really cool. All right, now we're going to head up and walk the Royal Mile and show you some other really cool things. Right outside Edinburgh Castle is Atlas Obscura. The kids are gonna love this. It does like special effects and visual stuff. It's a really cool museum. But then at the top, there's a great view of Edinburgh. Right up there. You see it up there? We'll go up there, we'll show it to you. All right, let's go. And this is good if it's raining too.
The kids are gonna love it?
Yeah, kids are gonna love it. Okay, yeah, I like this stuff. This stuff's cool. All right, let's head up. Okay, we're at the top of Camera Obscura right now. Great views of Edinburgh from up here. And get this, they built the Camera Obscura, a woman did, an optometrist, 170 years ago, and it's still working today. And I gotta admit, it's fun to go in there, do a great tour. They show you all over and they spy on people all over Edinburgh. Really fun. So walking down from Castle Rock, which is a lot of stairs, I must say, you end up in Grassmarket Square, and then right towards the top of it by Victoria Street is a memorial to Coventers. They're Presbyterian Scottish, and that is the mark where they did public hangings. Nice little memorial right there. Today, people sit on it, but there's also big beer gardens there, lots of pubs, lots of cool stuff. It's kind of the start for you to go right up Victoria Street. And in Victoria Street, right up top here is a terrace. You can walk right up to the top and get really nice views of Victoria Street. A lot of people don't know about it. You can just walk up, and I mean, look at it. It'd be nice to get off the hustle and bustle of the street. Let's go take a look. Get this, you're in medieval Edinburgh and you're crowded, you're up on this crag and tail, there's nowhere to live, so they build up and they go down. So you can go to real Mary's Close, Mary King's Close, if you want to see how they lived underground. If you want to see how they lived up, head to Gladstone's Land, which is right behind me. It's, I think, a 6-story skyscraper. The skyscrapers used to get up to 14 stories tall. You can tour this, tour 2 stories of it. It's pretty cool, right? I mean, look at that. It's from the 17th century. This was built in 1617. Very cool. Okay, £10 to enter. You start on the 3rd floor and work your way back down. National Trust of Scotland. And it's the volunteers that make this place so special. Just go in there, ask them. There's one on each floor. And they do a wonderful job just giving you all the history of the room. Because without them, you don't know what you're looking at. I did it. Now we're heading to the Writers' Museum. This is right next to Gladstone's land. And this Writers' Museum is cool because it's a free museum. And it's in a square where they have famous literature, famous quotes out on the ground. And also at the Writers' Museum, they feature writes of famous Scottish writers like Robert Burns and Sir Walter Scott and Robert Louis Stevenson. I like Robert Louis Stevenson, obviously for Treasure Island, but also he went to Hawaii, and there's a famous picture of him with King Kalakaua having dinner at the Iolani Palace. So he made it around the world. He did a good job. Best writers have the travel experience. All right, so we're in front of St. Giles right now, and there's all these like brass plates on the ground. Now, a lot of people are just walking over it. These mark the location of the Luckin booths. They're 15th century, mid-15th century lockable booths, or essentially market stalls. So I don't know which ones are actually the ones where the market stalls. There's an outline of brass plates, and those are like former like toll booths or former buildings that used to be there. But these are everywhere, and it's kind of cool, right? If you want to actually see one, Gladstone's Land Museum has one. A lot of these were ripped up and made away in the 19th century, 18th century. This is a city developed. Pretty cool though. You can walk right over. As you get in view of St. Giles, you'll come to the David Hume statue. This is famous with visitors for rubbing his toe for good luck, which is ironic because he was a Scottish philosopher or like writer and thinker, and really impressive. And they even dressed him as a Greek philosopher, an ancient Greek philosopher. But he's actually from the mid 1700s, and his philosophy didn't believe in superstition. He was really against it. So it's ironic that they rub his toe for good luck. Also, they think they started rubbing his toe for good luck because the statues originally by the high courts, and prisoners or people who were suspected of things would rub his toe for luck. But now since it's here, it's a good thing for visitors to do. So make sure you do it. There's another statue in Paris that Erica couldn't help but rub also for good luck. All right, let's check out some other stuff. This is the heart of Midlothian. Sir Walter Scott named it. It is the site of the old toll booth that used to sit here. And to be honest, they had, what we heard is they used to do public hangings right on this site. Now, Scots sometimes spit on the center of it because this was the site of a prison, and during medieval times, it wasn't a nice thing, the administrative center here. So like I said, some Scots would spit on the center of it to mark their contempt for the area. Let's talk a little history. It's interesting, it hasn't always been called the Royal Mile, this stretch from the castle down to Holyrood. It came into being from a guidebook from 1901. And then they just describe it as a Royal Mile between the two locations, and then kind of took off from there. And we are in front of St. Giles Cathedral, 800-year-old cathedral. There's actually 3 ancient churches along the Royal Mile. The first one by the castle in Tronkirk are no longer practicing. This one's still practicing, and it is a beautiful cathedral. I think parts of it date back to the 12th century. All right, let's keep heading down the road.
The Royal Mile has a lot of closes, and this one may seem unremarkable, but in 1861, it was the site of a tragic collapse that killed 35 people. But what is interesting about this is rescue workers were working on removing the stones. They heard a boy cry, "Heave away, chaps, I'm not dead yet." And you can see that quote written up there on the top of the clothes and the boy's face.
All right, so obviously there's tons of closes all over the Royal Mile. We can't do them justice, the true history of them. Like I said, book a guided tour. We have some link down below. But right now we're in Trunks Close. This one is cool for 2 reasons. It has a very ancient feel to it. And it's nice we walk by it. And as we walk down it, it smells like a Scottish breakfast, a full Scottish breakfast, which was lovely. And it leads to this kind of like secret or hidden garden right here. And you got the Royal Mile, the hustling and bustling here. Here it is nice and quiet, except for a little construction noise. And we're going to take you to another close a little farther down that also has a nice hidden garden on it too. But you can come in here, maybe grab a coffee and just relax.
And another thing about this close is there is a monument to the father of town planning. So he moved from his beautiful house in Newtown back to like kind of the slums and the derelict buildings in Old Town to study them and understand how to make them better. And what he learned is he could surgically remove some of the derelict buildings and create gardens and new buildings and preserve Old Town's history, which is what he did. Pretty impressive.
So imagine medieval Edinburgh, right? It was full of a lot of poverty. A lot of people were jammed into a really tight space. There were skyscrapers, people living underground, and right where I'm at is World's End Close. This is the site of an old gatehouse. And this gatehouse marked the end of Edinburgh. So for all these poor people living here, that could probably never leave the city, this literally marked the end of the world for them. So now is labeled by the World's End Close, which is right here, and then also World's End Tavern, which is right behind me. So back in the day, this was the end of Edinburgh.
We're at Dunbar's Close. This garden is very special. I mean, you're literally right off the Royal Mile and you look around and it's green and you kind of look at the houses and the buildings over there and it feels like you're in the countryside all of a sudden. Like, this is a little serene spot here. I like it a lot. So it's basically kind of across from the Edinburgh Museum and down a little bit next to the church.
All right, we made it to Holyrood Palace at the end of the Royal Mile. This one's one of my favorite. Look for the sanctuary stones. They're right at the entrance to Abbey Strand that goes into the palace entrance right here. These sanctuary stones marked a boundary for people under debt. So for hundreds of years, if you had debt, you could get away from your debtors by going to Abbey Sanctuary, and they provide food and shelter at a higher cost than inside the city walls, but your debtors couldn't throw you in toll booth jail, which is pretty miserable. So you could flee there, get across sanctuary stones, and you are safe. And get this, they didn't end this rule of throwing people in jail until 1880. And then they ripped up the monasteries. But it's cool, they kept the sanctuary stones there in place, which I love. Thanks so much for touring the Royal Mile with me. Like I said, we do our best, give some great history. We love to be guides, but nothing like a good local guide from Edinburgh. So click below to find some of our favorite ones. But we do have a free guide to Edinburgh on our website at yourguidesabroad.com. Check that out. We have a link down to it down below. And thanks for joining us.